Good morning, all. Today we will see the virtualization support for the resources what we are using for computing, and also mainly the memory and I/O virtualization. So today I will cover the hardware support for the virtualization, and then how we are going to virtualize the CPU, and what we needed, and what are the advantages of that thing. After later we discuss memory virtualization. So why we need to take the memory into the virtualization, and what are the advantages also, and the IO virtualization, what are the methods we are using in virtualizing IO, and at last we are seeing multi-core processor virtualization. In this we will see many cores to be virtualized. So here we have the concept of the physical cores and the virtual cores will be there. So how we are going to virtualize the cores, and what are the benefits we are getting will be discussed here. So first one, hardware support. So I am taking here an example. So this is an example of the Intel x86 processor which is supporting the virtualization at the hardware. So here what is the first hardware support for the virtualization, or the what is the hardware support means. So if we need to maintain any computation to be done in a particular manner, means in a fast or the performance based you are considering, what we have to do is nothing but we need to make the changes to your environment. So for these things, what you have to do is nothing but we need to take multiple processes to run on your any problem what you are taking on your problem, that is simultaneously, which are using modern operating systems, not the basic one or the already earlier one like that. So they should use the modern operating systems, and also provide the processors to allow multiple things, the multiple processors or the multiple cores to run simultaneously, to take these things, that is virtualization, into an account. So if you want to run these things into means simultaneously, we need to maintain a protection mechanism here. Why? Because we are allowing different processors to access your memory spaces, or to access your hardwares, that is IO devices, or any shareable environment, or anything is there. You are allowing another processor to access your environment. So if you are not maintaining such mechanism, what it is doing is, it is how it will occur is that it will come into the system crash. Means they will somebody will change your data. That also be considered. Somebody will misuse your hardware devices, or anything will be happen. So that's why what you have to do is nothing but we will provide, there could be some protection mechanism will be there. So for this, what we are doing is we are using the processors must has two modes. Two modes has to be presented whenever you are considering a processor point of view. So the first one is the user mode, and then next one is the supervisor mode. So why we are taking here is, if we are taking the user mode into an account, the user mode will have the access to only the privileges given to that one. So when you are considering the supervisor mode, so they are having the access to execute to run the instructions which are having privileged one. That is critical instructions are there. So these three types of critical instructions, we have the privileged instructions. So the privileged instructions can be executed by the supervisor mode. If any other mode, that is non-critical instructions are there, so this non-critical instructions are easily executed by the user. So if you are specifying, if you are going to the environment, that is, so in this environment, what you have to do is nothing but we need to take that is virtualized environment we are considering. So here we see VM0, VM1, VM2 and VMN. What are these are? That is a virtual machines what you are using, and they are having their own operating systems and then applications also. They are trying to connect with our processor. The processor is taken as the VTI or the VTX here. So here what you are specifying or what you are giving here is the, so we are using any of any of the technique here. So what is the technique VTX is giving is X is the privileged mode, means it is giving the that is execution root mode and also instructions which are being used for the processor. When you are giving to this I, that is a I technique or the I1 is given in as the where what it is given as the interactive mode or anything. So first what we have to do is nothing but what type of the thing we need to consider has to be known. Means you have to give the interactive mode or you have to give the privileges to that one. So that's why we need to take the what is the processor need to be here. So if you are offering that is the that is privileged mode should be to your the processors, what you have to do, you have to take the VTX. If not only the interactive mode you have to give it, you have to give to that one, you have to give the VTI here. So after processing here, what we need to specify is any traps are there or any thing has to be done, that is translations has to be done, or any that is for example virtualization, IO virtualization is there. We need to consider all these things. So for this what you have to do is nothing but the memory one is taking the EPT. So here what is the EPT is doing is it is translating the virtual address what you are having into this physical address, and it is allowing them to take this privilege of accessing your data. So here for the IO virtualization we are taking VTD and then VTC here. So here what they are performing here is they will give the chance to take these privileges to means access any input device or any output device you are having. And also if any shareable environment is there, means any sharing is there, we need to take the technique or we need to provide this one, that is implement VDC. So for the data we are using or interruption or any providing, we are using memory type 1 EPT, that is for the translating. And then next we are using VTD and the VTC for the interruptions or any IO processing or also any VTC representations here. So first here what we are doing is we are providing the software based virtualization here. So why we are using software based virtualizations means we are using many guest operating systems which are which can run on our top of that one. So for that one what we have to do is nothing but we need to maintain a good hypervisor to look after the virtual machines and also the processors resources what we are chosen. So for that we can have the kernel based virtual machine, that is a KVM. So if we are using the KVM, what it is giving is it is supporting the that is hardware assisted environment also, and also supports the para virtualization. All these things has been discussed in the earlier class. What is para virtualization, KVM, how it is supporting, all these things are included there. It is using VTX. VTX means likewise as said. So it is having the, when you are using the virtual environment, which is the X1, that is, it is providing the user or the providing the environment to take the advantage of privileged mode. That is, it is taking as a root mode and also take the some instructions to execute. All these things will be considered. And also it will provide the virtual IO framework, that is in this IO framework what will it will include, that is para virtual ethernet will be there, and then that is balloon device which is for the guest memory usage, and also VGA graphics interface through VMware drivers, and also disk IO control. IO should be there now. So IO controllers, all these things will be given when you are using KVM. That is, along with the VTX, it is also providing the virtual IO framework. The IO framework which supports para virtual ethernet and also disk IO, and also the memory adjustment. The adjustment should be given there. So now at last is also giving the possibility to access or to provide the framework which is having the graphic interface also. So likewise it is having these techniques has to be included, and you have to choose what is the technique has to be given by the people to take their environment to be processing, has to be considered here. So after that we are having CPU virtualization. In the CPU virtualization, what you have to do is nothing but first in virtual machine or in a virtualization, the technique is we need to duplicate the existing system and then next we take this thing to be available with the other one. So whatever you are doing here, the means will be based on the host processor what you are using. So for that thing, what you have to do is nothing but we need to take care of the instructions what you are executing. So here we are having instructions as critical instructions and non-critical instructions. So the critical instructions are described or divided into three types. So in the previous sessions also we have seen what are the critical instructions. In the binary translations we have seen some instructions has been executing. In that what are the, if you are able to access or if you are giving the accessing of a register or any memory space, those are specified as the critical. That is why critical means in this critical section we have the privilege, control sensitive and the behavior sensitive. So to access the data in the memory space, we need to have the privilege of accessing. Means you should need a permission there. So for that one, there is the instruction what you are given will be come under the privileged instruction. So these instructions has to be executed by the host only, because if you are allowing any person to access your computer or any hardware, what it is do is nothing but it will take the system crashing or it will get into a failure also. So that's why what you have to do is nothing but we need to take what are the privileged and then unprivileged instructions in that one. How come we know? Means in the hardware support we are seeing two modes there, user mode and then next supervisor mode. Likewise in the CPU what you are doing is we need to take what are the virtual machines have the ability to execute and what they don't have the ability to execute has to be divided. So the ability means VM's privileged unprivileged instructions in the CPU's user mode has to be given there. So here we need to specify these privileged instructions whatever you are using will include the remaining two also, that is control and the next behavior sensitive also. So they are executed by the host end. How they are being executed means we need to raise a trap there. If you say vCUDA is there now. In this vCUDA, what you are doing? We are maintaining a client and server. So here, what you are taking, there is a vGPU. You are specifying at the thing that is monitor, that is main stub, and then next you are also maintaining at the virtual area. So they will access as the client and server. Whenever it want to execute a command or anything, any instruction, it will check for the privilege. If it is not having any privilege, it won't stop there only. What it has to do, it has to raise a trap or it has to raise a exception there. And these exception, what it is raising has to be forwarded to the thing what it is handling. Means here the handler will be the VMM, that is virtual machine monitor. So the virtual machine monitor will take care of these instructions which are privileged one. So if they are not privileged one, unprivileged will be there, means then there is no any activity of giving the permission to execute that instructions. The virtual machines which are the guest operating system side will easily execute those instructions without intervening this host operating system. So what we need to do here is we need to raise a trap or we need to raise a exception whenever you are trying to execute a privileged instruction. Whether it is a privileged one means it has to as the executed outside of this mode or any control based one or any behavior based one. What has to do is nothing but these are the trap has to be taken care by these hypervisors what we are using. So by this VMM, what it is doing is it will take these things into our hardware and the things what we are processing will be done easily there. So for this, what you have to do is nothing but we need to make our hardware system CPU. CPU means the processor. What it will be using, memory spaces or anything, what the processor is including should support the virtualizing environment by nature. By nature means whenever we are installing or whenever we are creating or whenever we are means discovering anything or any creating or environment like that, what you have to do is nothing but we have to indulge that virtualizing environment into our that is architecture there itself. So we are using the RACA CPU architectures normally. So for that, what you have to do is nothing but we need to take these virtualization into an account while designing the architecture of these Intel 86 only. So if they are not being designed by supporting this virtualization, we need to modify our total processors hardware there itself. So that's why what you have to do is nothing but we need to take into account that while installing or editing not all these things, when you are creating or when you are providing an architecture to your processor, then you are that is instead of that is a motherboard or anything, any environment you are taking, what you have to do is nothing but we need to take this virtualization into an account naturally, not the a program or anything you are externally installing all these things into one. It is supporting naturally means there is no need to take the other environment to come to your hardware and take care of this virtualization. So what you have to do is nothing but we need to install all the we need to take it as a natural behavior when designing these architectures here. So and also we have to maintain a interrupt handler here. Why? Because likewise I said, we need to take care of the privileged instructions which has not been executed by our guest operating systems. So we need to we install other we need to have to maintain a interrupt handler in the hypervisor itself. So if you are considering Unix-like systems, that is the Zen. Zen architecture is there now. In this Zen architecture, it is maintaining a kernel which is which is main source or the main resource for handling all the things which are for the hypervisor. So the kernel will take care of this interrupt handler because it is having its handler, and by using the system calls, it is specifying which interrupt has to be handled, which interrupt has to send to where will be handled by this kernel. So likewise, what you are taking here is we need to maintain this interrupt handler, or we need to give this thing to the kernel naturally there itself. Likewise, because it has to trigger the trap there, and then next it has to take care by this thing. So further thing what they are using is they have to be this triggering or the system calls will happen gradually. That means frequently they will occur. You need to maintain an environment naturally to take this interrupts to be handled there. So that's why what you have to do is nothing but we need to take these virtualization of this CPU whenever you are designing the architectures of any system. If you want to support the virtualization, what you have to do is nothing but we need to give this environment to be naturally handled by these processors you are having. So in this CPU virtualization, we have the different types of virtualizations here. So according to that one, we are having the hardware assisted CPU virtualization. So what this hardware assisted CPU virtualization means, so if you are taking to be done, that is the virtualization to be done, what you have to do is nothing but we need to take this hardware assisted CPU virtualization into an account. This is the diagram which you have seen, which is for the Intel 86 processors only. So what you are doing here is we are taking that is Intel 86 processors with VMX root mode. In previous mode I said VTX will be there now. So what is the VTX will be like that means this one. So here it will have the VM control structure, VM exit, VM entry, and then next configurations, memory devices, and also it is supporting some CPU and providing some that is root mode virtualization here. So what it has to do is nothing but why we are maintaining this like structure is to control these virtual machines accessing of your memory spaces or any type of the representations. What we need to do here is we need to take these like is a start and stop thing has to be considered here. So here we are taking this example which has been used by the Zen virtual machine ware, that is VMware, and also Microsoft virtual PC. Some of all these things will use this type of technology to add or to process your things when you are using the virtualization. And the technology here is the VTX technology. Here what you have to do, why we need to maintain here is, we need to define our things to be done in the high efficiency way. So how far you are providing, how you are doing all these things here is, so first the transitions what you are maintaining, the what we are doing will be come under CPU to hypervisor, hypervisor to guest operating system, guest operating system to hypervisor, and then next hypervisor to our operating system, that is a host operating system. What it is doing is, we need to make a lot of the transitions between these guest operating systems here. So the switchings what you are doing, the switchings what you have to perform, because user mode to supervisor mode, and then next you are getting from guest operating system to host operating system, and then next host to guest, and in between you are using the hypervisor. There is a lot of switches has to be done between the processor modes here. So if you want to execute the privileged instructions, you need to take the supervised mode into the account. If you want to execute normal instructions, you need to take the user mode into an account. So these all things will have to be done what we are using is a binary translation. You have seen the binary translation is a little bitty, that is a worky process, that is we need to take so much of time to process with the binary translation. So why? Because for a simple instruction also it is taking multiple instructions. That is a source instruction is having many target instructions to be executed. So for this, what you have to do is nothing but the binary translation. If you are using between these things, what it is doing is, it is performing, that is outperformance will be there. So the performance levels what you are taking will be degraded there. So for that, what you have to do is nothing but we need to use a hybrid approach. What it is doing is, it has to give the some task, not all the tasks, some tasks to the others. Means we need to take the pressurize, that is a burden on the hardware has to be taken off. Means half of the work will be done by someone and half of the work will be done by the hardware. Like that we need to specify that. So for that, what you have to do is nothing but we need to take this para virtualization or hardware assisted virtualization into an account. So here this VMX root mode will take care of the what is the memory we are using, what are the IO virtualizations which is taking, any configurations are there or not, how many virtual machines you are having, what are the virtual machines you are now executing, and then next what is the thing they are performing. Like that we need to take. For example, if you are having hundreds of virtual machines and we are executing simultaneously, means it is a the efficiency and also performance will degrade. So that's why we are maintaining a entry and exit mission. This will decide, the monitor will decide whether this virtual machine will allow into the environment to process or not, because already it is taking some executions into an account. If it is busy with that accounts, what it has to do, it has to stop there itself only, because it needs to that is the decrease the burden. There is it won't want to increase the burden of the CPU. That's why what it has to do is nothing but first it has to look after the what are the virtual machines it is having, and it allow the virtual machines to access all these things, and then next it will take care. And it is not allowing, and it is not providing all these configurations, control structures, memory or IO onto the processor here. It is maintaining its own, and it is freeing our CPU from that burden, because all the things will be happen, all the things has to be handled by a single CPU, means it's not a working one. So what it has to do is nothing but the share of this, the workload what you are doing has to be shared between the hypervisor and the next processor. So that's why this VMM is taking care of these all these things, and also it is maintaining some entry and exit. So if you are unable to access, or if you are not having such processing space to do that work, means you will means what you have to do is nothing but you will restrict that virtual machine to wait for some time. That thing we have to specify there itself. So that's why we are using this hardware, that para virtualization or hardware assisted virtualization, which is making our hardware be freeing from a that is a burden, and we also have the probability of using this para virtualization and this hardware assisted virtualization combinedly to get the better performance there. So that's about the CPU virtualization. And then next, memory virtualization. So here we are, CPU virtualization means we are making the CPUs, that is processors, to be available to process here, and we are maintaining the memory spaces to be available to process or to store. How we are taking this into an account means we are maintaining a page table here. So page table will be maintained like that. Shadow page table will be there. So the shadow page table is a page table name what you are maintaining here. So later on that, first we will see how it is going to do means first it will take care of our management by using the MMU, that is the memory management unit. Here we are taking, and in the operating system that is subject, you came to know what is the translation look aside buffer will take. So the TLB is maintained. So here the TLB, what it is doing is we need to take care of these virtualized memory performance. That is, to take care of that one, we are using this TLB here. And also we are maintaining a mapping here. Why we need to maintain means we are means executing in the virtual space, and we are having the access from the physical space means we need to take care of these mapping. So virtual mapping also will be take into account. So for that, what you have to do is nothing but we need to take the two-stage mappings into an account. How we are going to take the two-stage mapping means virtual memory to the physical memory. See here, virtual memory to the physical memory, and physical memory to the machine memory. This two-stage mapping has to be done. All these things as means combinedly or specified as the virtual mapping only. But to perform a virtual mapping, we need to take the virtual memory address and then next to the physical memory address, like that. Virtual memory to be mapped with the physical memory, and at last the physical memory has to be mapped with the machine memory what we are using here. So for this, we need to maintain all these things. So for also the virtualization, we have to take this transparency into an account, because to control the mapping and also privileges has to be done. All these mapping procedures has to be included. No? So that's why what you have to do is nothing but we need to maintain the transparency when you are dealing with this memory management unit. So after that, we are having a memory mapping here, two-level memory mapping. How we are going to do here? So here we are having two virtual machines which are having the processors here. So these two are individually executing two different processes. So here the first one is specified as the virtual memory VA, and then next the second level of the memory is specified as the physical memory, that is a PA, and then next we are having the last one, that is a MA, which is the machine memory. First, the processor, that is the virtual machine has to means map to this address, and then next it will have the privilege to access this one. If you see, some are directly connected. Some are directly connected. Here I taken this example because there is no need to take the mapping into an account. Means what it is doing is completely allowing this thing to connect or to map with the that is the machine memory with this virtual memory. Not all the time, no? Only sometime when these things are not needed, then only it will allow an user then virtual machine's memory mapping to be done directly to the machine memory. Along with this thing, what it is, this memory spaces or the pagings, what you have to do is nothing but the guest operating system, that is each and every virtual machine has to maintain a separate page table, which is correspond to the hypervisor what they are using. So the hypervisor table is the VMM page table. So the VMM page table is indeed called as the shadow page table. So here we need to maintain a shadow page table for each and every guest operating system what you are having. So now also we are having some nested page tables also. So what this nested page tables we will do here is some indirect memory spaces or the indirect mapping will be there. So for this nested page tables will be maintained. So here, what is the work of the MMU here? That is a memory management unit will do it. It will handle the translations which will done between these virtual machines and physical machines, that is which are usually defined by the operating systems, and also the physical addresses to the machine addresses, that is the translation has to be done, has to be maintained here. So for these all processes, the operating system what you are being designed or what you are using has to maintain a set of page tables for each and every process. If you are maintaining a virtual machine, it is having the two process. Each process has to maintain the translations for recording page table, memory recording page table, all these things. So that's why what you have to do is nothing but we need to take this account that the shadow page tables also be updated here. Whenever you are using this thing into an account, so if you are maintaining such amount of these page tables, that amount of the page tables, what it is done, that if overflood will occur, flooding will occur. This flooding will it will regulate that the performance what you are so deciding for this processing will be degraded, because the cost of the memory spaces to maintain this much of that is what you are saying, that multiple page tables will be high. So the cost will be very high when you are maintaining such page tables for each and every transition, and the set of page tables for each and every processor or process. What it has to do is nothing but it needs to maintain all these things in a low cost. So for that we can't use any other things to process all these things. For that what you are doing is we are minimizing the transitions here. So when you are using the VMware, the shadow table what you are using in this VMware will directly allow the virtual memory to machine memory address translation, because here there is no need of the physical memory. Here we need to take the virtual memory to the machine memory only. So on these whatever the things that any machine memory what you have done, that is a translation what you are doing on these two translations on every axis will taking the time. So that's why what we are using virtual memory to the machine memory here. So here this is the example representation of the shadow table. So in the shadow table I'm taking an example, move RAX comma address. I'm taking that is RAX into the address space I am specifying. So here the thing what I mentioned here is the virtual address is there. So this virtual address will be taken into an account for the guest physical address and then physical address of the hypervisor there. And later on it will taking care of this data. So you are allowing these things to be stored on that one. Shadow means what? Shadow means it will be there, but it won't perform any type of the data like that we are specifying. Means it has a shape, but it won't perform any data like that. So you are maintaining the guest page table here. So what you are doing, you are maintaining the data here also, and you are trying to maintaining the data here also, because we need to take these things to be an account. So here we are maintaining the data twice. That's the things we need to consider. And also the data what you are maintaining in this shadow table will be considered as a real. And here the table what you are using in your, that is in the virtual guest operating system, it is considered as a virtual, that is imaginary like that it will be specified. After later on what you are taking here is, it is taking the data from here to here. So the hypervisor gets guest memory space will be taken into an account. So before storing that one what you are taking, we have to take the several translations into an account and store the data. And here this is the one. So first one what you are taking, we need to take the all the guest addresses what you are considering will be taken. So here for this thing when you are trying to write your data, write your data, we must erase a trap there. So this erase trap will be translated into the guest physical address. This guest physical address again uses the guest memory mapping, and at last what you are doing is allowing the data to be entered into the shadow PT and also the data what you are using. So how it is going to be a consistency? It is a weak consistency because we need to take the updations, and then next, and also we need to maintain the synchronization points at all these levels, because you are maintaining multiple times in this thing, because in the hypervisor also you are maintaining is the real one, and also you are maintaining all these things. So later on you are checking this thing into the data space. That's why what it is doing is it is taking so much time to process, and it can be specified as a incomplete. So what is the translation cache you are using here is the least recently used translation cache for processing the data. So here we are having another example. So this is the example of the Intel 86 one. So here we are providing the EPT technique as the processing one. So why we are using this one? Why we are specifying in this latches, or the what are the L1 and L2 are represented as the latches here, ma? So these are there are the several page tables we are using or we are providing here. So here when a virtual address is specified, this is the virtual machine and this is the physical machine. So whenever a virtual address needs to be translated, what it has to do is nothing but first it will look at the L4 here. Here it will look at the L4. So if it is the since what you are getting, if it is needed to convert or not, we need to take care of things to be done here. So if the things is there, means in the L4 you are looking for that is there, it is not means if it is not finding there, or if it is not there, what it has to do is nothing but it has to go for the L3. So here first least recently used has to be taken. What ahead and LRU is the specified one. So first least recently used will be the L4. So first what you have to do is nothing but we need to take these L4 page table be obtained first. So after that what it will do here is it will take care for the whether it is having that address space what you are requesting or not. If it is having the data, you will stop there itself only. If you are not, means if that that is L4 is not having that one, what it is doing is it is allowing to take the access of L3. So here what you have to do, we need to take these virtual address. VA means virtual address. So here the virtual address will come into an account of the L3. So if you are using L3's data or the L3's one, what it is doing is you need to take these things into an account. If you are means if you are finding your data in L4, then there is no any problem. If you are not finding your data in the L4, means there the page fault will occur. So what you have to do is nothing but it has to arise a page fault address or the page fault interrupt, that the data what you are requesting or the data what you are storing is not here, and it will go for the L3 and it will look for the data what you are having in the L3, that is a physical address or the virtual address here. If it is having the address here, okay. If it is not having the address, it will go for the L2 and then L1, like that. Means we need to see whether the data is with you or not, means with L4 or L3 or L2, L1. So whenever you are trying to get the data from here, what it is doing is it is erasing a page fault interrupt to say that whatever you are requesting has not here. What it has to do is nothing but you need to go for the physical address there. So for that, what it has to do, it has to maintain a phase fault interrupt handler also. Other than with that one, we need to take care of a shadow page table or the page tables what you are using, translation looks at a buffer, and also we are maintaining a physical address, virtual address, So, and also we are having the machine address also into an account. Other than this three, what we are using here is we also taking into an account a page fault interrupt handler. Why we are using this thing here is we need to translate our thing. So if it is not present in the thing, what it has to do, it needs to change the checking address of that one. You have to shift the latches here. So if it is not at the L4 page table, what it has to do, it has to go for the L3 page table. And then next it has to go for the L2 page table and then L1. Why it is using such type of representations here is we are following that is LRU, least recently used here. So here we are having the guest address, and then next if you are having doubts GVA, HPA or GPA means see here ma. GVA means virtual memory address for the guest operating system, and then next here GPA means physical address of the guest operating system. HPA means physical memory address of the host operating system what you are using. So here by this you will come to know that the virtual machine will have its own memory space, and also it is maintaining a virtual memory space. If it is having its own memory space, then it is specified as a physical address of its that is guest operating system, and if it is have the virtual memory space, then it is specified as the GVA. First what we have to do, we need to take their thing, that is what a from where you are searching has to be specified. So for that what it is doing is it is specifying that we need to take the least recently used mechanism to process. So the last latchy has to be obtained first, and it will be so when when the physical address of the this L4 latchy is been obtained, what it has to do is nothing but it has to calculate the whether it is not in this L4, I have to go for the L3. So for this L3, I have to know the guest physical address of the L3, because you have entered into that environment. To access the other one, you should know what is the guest physical address thing. So for that one, what it has to do is nothing but to take this to be happen, we need to take all these things into an account, GVA, GPA of the guest operating system into an account. If it has been, means if the entry what you are corresponding to the GVA is in this page table, what it has to do is nothing but it has to be generate the that is the page fault here. If it is not there or like that, what it has to it has to go on for the L2, L1 like that. If you are having L10, L10 is the least recently used in that one. L10, L9, L8, L7 and up so on, L1 will be considered. So multiple page faults will occur because you need to take care of all these things. Whenever you are handling this type of mechanisms to be done, we need to make the translations more than 5 times here, because you have to first establish the connection with the guest virtual machine, and then next you have to take care of the 4 latches you are having. So what the EPT will do here is it will take the 5 times, and each time what you are doing is the memory needs to access the 4 different latches what you are using there. So here how many memory accesses will be there, means mostly it will be 20 or any means 30 or the 50 based on the latches we are using. So 5 times means 5 times EPT will use. We are using 4 different latches, 4 into 5, 20. So to process a translation, we use 20 memory access to be done here. If we are using 10 latches here, so how many times the EPT will look after that one is the 5 times. So the EPT 5 times means 10 into 5, that is what you are taking into an account is 50 times has to be performed. So for each and every transition or the feature, every translation, it is taking that much of access, means the performance of your system will be degrade. So to overcome this thing, what it has to do is nothing but we need to decrease the size of your translation buffer, and we need to increase the size of your translation look aside buffer, and we need to decrease the memory accesses what you are using. So what is the instant of accessing for the each and every memory space means it could be decrease it to, or we can take it as a twice. means we are giving the 5 times, means it is taking many times to take. Means each and everything has to be traversed, or each and everything has to be specified as the 5 times. You are using 4 latches, 4 into 5, 20. For each and everything we are specifying totally 5 into an account, and we are specifying total is 20 memory access for a translation. So if you are maintaining like that, means the mappings will be done and the switches has to be performed there also. It will taking a lots of time to process. So that's why what you have to do is nothing but the disadvantage is there. The disadvantage will be overcome by if you are increasing the size of your translation look aside buffer, and you are decreasing the that is the number of times how we are going to access your memory. So if you are making it as a twice or once, then it will be safe to that is the switches or the things what you are consider will be not taking the or not degrading any performance or any efficiency what you are considered. So after that we are having the IO virtualization, and this IO virtualization how we are going to perform is we are using 3 different virtualizations. SEMA, we are making hardware to be available and the CPUs to be available, memory spaces to be available with the others, not in the same one. With the others, we are making available. And what we are doing here is, we are making our IO devices will be with the available with the guest operating system. How come it is available here is, we need to implement any of these methods to support the virtualization. So for this, the first one is the full device emulation, para virtualization, and direct IO. So what is a full device emulation? Likewise, I said, what is the emulation? Emulation means it has the capability to take care, means to process all these things on its own. Means how we are specifying, or how we are specifying here emulation means it will take into an account that isolate itself for using. So this approach what you are using is the first approach, and it is having the capability of emulate a well-known and the real-world devices. What are the input and the output devices also we are using. So here we are using this type of emulation. In this one, the functions of the device or the bus infrastructure will be device enumeration, identification, interrupts, DMA, direct memory access, which are used should be replicated in the software there itself only. So the software what you are using in this virtual machine monitor will act as a virtual device and allows the user to access the IO devices of your host operating system. If you see this diagram, so this is the virtualization layer have been specified in this some orange color. And then next guest operating system, at last we are having a real device. So here how it is going to handle is, if you see a hardware device is there, so a hardware device what you are using will be shared between the multiple virtual machines what you are using here. So here we are seeing in the cascading form, we are having multiple operating systems, means multiple virtual machines are there to take virtualize, means to use the virtualized IO system what you are having. So here what it has to do is nothing but we need to provide what is the methodology we are supporting here or we have to give here. So this virtualization will take the that is the device what you are having into an account. So how we are going to take into account means what you have to do. So first we need to take what are the devices we are having. So the devices will be stacked there, and then next the device drivers also be connected to that virtualization layer. So if any thing we need to take, that is any disk is there or any that is output device is there, anything is considered, what we have to do is nothing but we need to take that these things to be handled, that is by the IO access request. We are simply handling means it's not possible. What it has to do, if you want to handle, if you want to use a printer or anything, you need to raise a hand, or you need to specify that I want to use that one. So how it is going to use that one means we need to raise the IO access request here. So this IO access request of this guest operating system will be trapped by the virtual machine monitor, that is a VMM, and then interact with the IO device of the real one, that is a host operating system. If it is available with you, it will allocate to you. If it is not available with you, it will means it will make you to wait in the that is the queue there. So because many operating systems are connected, there is many virtual environments will be there now. So many virtual environments will be able to access the the IO devices they, and simply they are means requesting for the same device, means they are allocating the device to further. They need to know who has been raised the request at first. So for this we need to maintain a queue also. We need, this will be if it is not available, what they are doing, they will be placed in the queue, and also they will means make the list of that one who will be able to access all these things. Whenever it is not available, what they are doing is they are making the available of these resources multiple. That is, we can install the multiple resources to our devices or anything, and we make this to be happen in the on the network basis. So that's why what you have to do, whenever you want to access a device, we need to maintain a IO request. Whenever IO request has been handled, the device will be means allotted to you, and you will get the access of processing all these things there. On the next one, it is the para virtualization. This para virtualization, what it is doing is it is using in already known one, that is a Xen architecture. So here in the Xen, what it is specifying it is maintaining a model that is called the split driver model. So here the split driver model will have the two different ends of the that is drivers, which is the front end driver and the back end driver. So here we are maintaining the two domains to process our data, the domain U and domain 0. The domain 0 will take care of these back end drivers, and domain U will take care of the front end drivers. Likewise, I said domain, we will maintain the domain in the Xens. In the previous sessions, we have seen some figures also, which is explaining the what is the usage of the domains we are using like that. And also we are providing a facility that they will interact with each other via these shared memory. That is how we are going to access, or any interaction will be there now. So what they are providing the accessibility of interaction also, and also what are the requests they have been maintained will be processed by these drivers, means any request or any things will be, means all these things will be taken care of these front end and the back end drivers. And then next they are being processed, or they are being given to these real IO devices drivers. After that, what they will do is by taking this an account, they will allocate a device to any others, means any guest operatings. For example, for somebody who asking for the printer, they will allocate the printer to that means they get the data of a scanner or anything will be processed here. And then next we have the third one is the direct IO virtualization. Here the virtual machine will have the accessibility to these IO devices directly, means we are not installing any emulators or any other drivers to take care of all these requests. They are allowing to take these things to be done by their side. So if you want to access, what it is doing is it is allowing these things to be done. Because we by using this type of virtualization, what it has to doing is it needs to maintain many things to happen here. Because when your things to be done, what it has to do, it has to be assigned and reassigned to be specified. Because when you are assigned your things, what it has to, host operating system has to reclaim means I have given your, means my device or my things to be used by you for a particular amount of the time. So if this amount of the time has been done with you, what I have to do, I have to reclaim my things there. So likewise, what you are doing, we are allowing the users to that is claim their resources, and then next the host operating system or the host one will be responsible for this reclaiming. If they are if they are not updated this information, if they are not reclaiming that one, they will be held with them only, or simply what they will think means my work is done, my job is done, the host operating system will look after all these things like that. So there should be maintenance of the things will be occur. That is, reclaiming should be the important one. So the reassignment could be done, means it should be possible that host operating system person who is there should be capable of reclaiming all the resources. They could, means he should monitor the resources there itself only. Other than this one, we are having another one, that is the self virtualized IO. Another environment which is the self virtualized IO, which is called as the SVIO. So what it is doing, what it is specifying here is, so it is taking these multiple resources, that is rich resources to be available. So the resources are specified as the multi-cores. Multi-cores will be used here to take the virtualization of these IO devices here. How it is going to take here is the virtualized device what you are using will be accessed or will be given to you based on the APIs what you are using. So if you are taking the API into an account, by raising an API, what it is doing is it is allocating the IO devices to others and take the access of all these things to happen. So this is the diagrammatical representation of these VMware workstation, how it is going to happen or how it is going to account. So to send a station, that is anything, what it has to do, what is the VMware workstation do here is, it will take these IO support in guest operating system and also host operating system, and it also maintaining a VMM to implement the IO implementation, that is IO virtualization. So here it is also using a driver loaded, which is using for the VM driver. So if you see here, here there is a VM driver here. How it is going to take into an account is, whenever we are requesting all these things to be done, what it has to do is nothing but it needs to take whether this device has to be allocated to you or not. We need to specify how we are going to take into an account. We need to take the privileged VMM into that one. The guest operating system, what it is doing, it is giving the message to the IO port. Before passing to the IO port, we need to handle the things by the VMM. The VMM will give that whether this virtual machine driver is able to specify a system call or not. So it will be place a system call. If the system call has been placed, what it is doing is it is able to give these things, that is means the data will be passed or not to be seen here. So we are sending the data by using this system calls, and we are using a network driver also. So the VM driver what we are taking is, it is able to control, or it will be take care of the two worlds here. How means, see here, the VM driver what you are choosing will able to access the packets what you are having, and it also be able to access the packets you are sending from the other one. So here sending the phase, and here it is the receiving the phase. The guest operating system is sending the phase using the VMM, and then next it is taking the system calls to place the call to send the data, and it is having a bridge code there. So this bridge code is used for processing all these things to be done by using the functional blocks in sending the data. And also it is maintaining a Ethernet driver which is at the host side, not the guest side. So here by using this Ethernet driver, it has been launched the hardware packet launch. When this hardware packet has been launched, what it is doing is, it is that is having an interrupt. When you are sending this launch, it is having an interrupt. So this interrupt has to be handled. So who is handling the interrupt here is, so the device interrupt has been occurred. So what is the interrupt has to be read here. So I want to copy these memory spaces or anything, means that is the some information is there. So that has to be done. So here what it is doing, it is wanting to raise the IRQ. So who for doing this thing, that is request. I want to raise the input request here. So this request will be raised and then given to the guest operating system, and then given to these VM driver, and they will get the data of accessing the IO port in and out. In and out processing will be done. So that's the processing. That is how it is going to take these account, means how it is raising the request and how it is sending the request here is, it needs to take the request to be done. So to raise the request, it has to send the request here. To send the request, it has to raise a packet launch. This packet launch, whenever the packet launch, where packet is launched, what it has to do, it has to look after the any interrupt has been occurred or not. So first it will raise the device interrupt. So it will see what is the interrupt here. Means simply it is interrupting and it is allocating is not that one. It will see what is the interrupt, means you need to provide the data here, what you want to access, what you want to see, like that it will have. In this application we have the I want to memory, that is a memory copy to the virtual memory. So virtual memory, that is I have to perform. So for that I want to get the input and the output IO ports to into my account. So that's why what it is taking, give me access of this request. So whenever it is allowing to take the access, the raising IRQ will occur. To raise IRQ, it will raise the IRQ and it has the access to take the privilege of accessing input and outputs in and out. So that's why what it is doing, it is taking into an account, that is I am having the ability to access my data, to process my data in this account. Means when these last instruction what you have to means has been occurred, it will be able to write or read the data, anyone. Means if it is been requested for the out operation, what it has to do is nothing but it has to write that one. If it is having some in operation is there, in operation what it has to do, it will read the memory spaces there. If you want to take the write operation to be done, you have to store the data into that one. So that's about this class. By next class I will explain what is the virtualization with this multi core processors. Thank you.